I can't think of anyone better qualified and better prepared to chair the 2010 United Way campaign for Ottawa. As a volunteer, a public servant, a family member, and a friend, she has dedicated her life to building stronger, more supportive communities. She has the necessary drive, a compelling vision, and a compassionate heart. I give to you my beloved Aunt, Cassie Doyle.
Let me tell you, it's pretty difficult to sit there and listen to such a fabulous introduction. I love you, Kate. And I want to also extend a very special thanks to my husband, David, who I know was the director behind that very kind introduction. I am absolutely thrilled to have my favorite niece here in Ottawa to introduce me this morning, especially because her mom, my late sister Sharon, was my mentor and lifetime inspiration. Friends, it is a real honor to be here today as this year's chair. But I can tell you that it's also a bit daunting. We deputy ministers, we're used to being in the back room. In fact, we make our careers out of staying off stages like this and completely out of the public eye. Well, with a few notable exceptions on that front of late. I want to thank my deputy colleagues, my friends, for joining me here this morning. Standing up here, I feel like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. When I think of all my predecessors in this role, and you've heard a whole list of them, but I want to go back to Wayne Waters, who is now the clerk of the Privy Council and also my boss. But he was the first public service leader to take on this role as the community chair. And that fantastic campaign was followed by the one led by Saul Iacona, who just brought an incredible intensity and energy to the role. And then last year, our storyteller supreme, Jamie McCracken. And didn't Jamie do an absolutely fabulous job last year? A special shout out to my colleague, Rob Fonberg. Stand up, Rob. Rob is the Deputy Minister of National Defence, and he's leading the Government of Canada's workplace campaign this year. So don't forget, we're all counting on you. Et je veux souligner aussi le travail de mon équipe de Ressources Naturelles Canada, because I could not do this without their support. C'est un grand honneur de présider cette campagne puisque c'est une année importante pour Centraide. Je me suis jointe au Conseil parce que je crois en sa mission. Le changement est possible en travaillant ensemble avec nos partenaires et l'aide des agences communautaires que nous avons la chance d'avoir at Ottawa. So this morning I want to take a couple of minutes to talk about our new and enduring theme, our call to make change happen, to be united. I want to say a few things about what it means to me, and I want to ask you to reflect on it as well. First, though, I want to share with you some very interesting opinions that I heard recently about our campaign theme. What does it mean to you to be united?
Being united is to play, share, and have pretty fun.
Is to have lots of friends. You need to have love.
To be united, you have to be nice.
Me to be united is to share and be best friends. To be united, you need to be faithful.
Que pouvez-vous faire pour changer les choses?
To make change happen, you need to give love and everything that they need. To make change happen, you need to like people for who they are.
If you want to make change happen in your life and in the life of others, you have to respect them and accept their sorries. Par exemple, si quelqu'un a déménagé, tu peux lui montrer où est le parc ou pour jouer. S'il y a des personnes qui bataillent, je vais les dire d'arrêter puis d'être des amis.
To be nice to my teacher.
Why do you think people should give to the United Way?
I think we should give to the United Way because it helps people do all sorts of stuff, like learn.
I think to help the United Way for give courage to people for help the poor.
I think you should give to the United Way because they're very kind.
There you have our community's future leaders. Now, there's something that every one of us in this room has in common, because each one of us made the decision to come here this morning, to give up maybe an extra 30 minutes of sleep, or our morning run, or breakfast with the kids, just to be part of launching this campaign. And this, I believe, is an optimistic decision. It's a decision that speaks to one of our most profound beliefs, that we can influence things for the better. As I was getting ready for today, I was thinking about the things that bring us together. Because the invocation to be united is a bold one. Really, when you think about it, there's so much that can divide us. And the public discourse of late has been very much focused on religious divisions, on economic differences, and of course on the perennial political divisions, especially in this town. So it's remarkably easy to lose sight of what it is that actually unites us. I left Canada for the very first time after I finished my undergraduate degree. I went as a volunteer with Canadian Crossroads from my hometown, Vancouver, right to a very small village in Maharashtra, India. And I went there with another young Canadian woman. We worked in a community health clinic, just helping with some basic functions there, distributing food, taking care of babies, and particularly those that had eye infections to prevent them from going blind. But you can imagine how foreign we felt being in that village. And you can also imagine how foreign we looked to those villagers. So there we were. We had absolutely no shared language with that community. And at the same time, we were surrounded by water buffaloes pulling plows, and it seemed like we were, cast back into a very ancient time. But what was amazing is that within a few short hours, we somehow managed to connect to those villagers. And of course, around, first of all, the babies, taking care of them, playing with them, admiring them, as well as other rituals such as the food preparation, getting washed at the well. And we soon became part of the rhythm and the daily routine of that village community and felt part of it. And ever since that experience, I am convinced that no matter how large a gulf that might exist between people, there's always a way to connect. My sister Sharon used to say that everyone is their own story, that if you dig deep enough, you'll always find common ground. Because we all started off as kids, we all grew up, at least most of us, we all have family, and we all come from somewhere. And when you ask about any person's story, you'll always find a hook, a way to connect. Because all of us share real common ground. It's food, shelter, warmth, friends, family, love. The desire to achieve human potential and the desire to help others do so. So we're here today to focus on what unites us, to discover how we can work together to make change happen in our community to meet basic needs and to create those important conditions that will allow us to reach our community's full potential. Okay, back to the United Way. As someone coming from away, from another part of the country, I'm very proud to live here in Ottawa, Canada's capital city, because it's a very special place, and it has tremendous assets in its people, in its culture, in its stable economic base. And I truly believe that as the United Way has evolved, it's keeping pace with the intelligence and the commitment of the people who live here in Ottawa. You might say the human capital. And at the very same time, it reflects the depth and the strength of the social service agencies in this city, which many of you have seen as part of the Seeing is Believing tour, and which I had a direct experience with when I worked for the City of Ottawa. It's a very rich resource. If asked about the United Way, most people would say it's a fundraising organization. And that's of course true, and don't want you to lose sight of that, because we're here to unveil our campaign goal this morning. But we are about much more than that. At the board, we've been working on making our vision more concrete and setting specific goals, because we are committed to investing resources where they are needed most and where they'll have the greatest impact. And so we've been focusing on those areas that unite us, where we want to affect real change. Growing up great, belonging to community, and turning lives around. So let me just look at the first one, growing up great. If there's anything that can pull a community together, as I discovered back in India, it's kids. Because we're all moved by circumstances that prevent children from reaching their own potential. So growing up great makes sure that kids start school ready to learn, and that they have a chance to take part in healthy after-school activities. Just think about this. Today, only 73% of kids in high-risk neighborhoods in Ottawa complete high school. The rate for more privileged neighborhoods is 85%. So by 2015, we want to ensure the graduation rate in challenged neighborhoods is 85% too, so that young people like Lujane could reach that important goal. Lujane is a young girl who lives in Ottawa's Confederation Court. And like me, she comes from a big family. She has 5 little brothers. And 4 years ago, Lujane's world turned upside down.